Welcome, everybody. This is the Virtual College Exploration for all Illinois students. It is sponsored by Illinois Association for College Admission Counseling and StriveScan. My name is Mary Ward. I am the facilitator for this presentation. A couple housekeeping rules I want to tell you about. Right now, all the students are muted and no video. So you can communicate with the panelists by using the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. So they'll go over that information with you, but feel free to type in questions. This presentation is being recorded, so it will be available for you to view in about a week on our website at www.iacac.org. And there's plenty of other sessions too, so please check out our website, check out some other sessions, and sign up. I will now turn it over to our panelists.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Welcome everyone to our virtual visit with you all for UW-Madison, University of Wisconsin-Madison. Look at me, I'm just too excited to be with you all today. My name is Camille Walter. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm an undergraduate admissions counselor, and I specifically work with students in Cook and Lake counties, mostly Cook this year. And I am joined with my colleague, Emily Brooks. Emily, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, absolutely. Hi, everyone. Greetings. Happy Wednesday from Madison, Wisconsin. My name is Emily Brooks. I'm also a freshman admissions counselor here at UW-Madison. Fun fact, Camille and I actually started on the same day.
Same day.
And we both have been working with Illinois territories the last 2 years. So we're excited to have this space to talk to all of you today. I also like to share too that in addition to working for UW, I'm a proud Badger alumna myself. So we like to think that we're pretty good people to give this presentation, just being from the state of Wisconsin, living in Madison, and just happy to be here with you today.
Yeah, a couple of quick things before we get started. Emily and I are actually going to both go off screen. Emily will be doing Q&A while I give a big part of the presentation, and then Emily will actually talk about a little bit more about her experience and just being a Badger in general, what student life is like, and then I will hop on to discuss a little bit more about financial aid and the admissions process, and then we will come on for live Q&A at the end of our session today. So again, we will be off screen. Follow along with us, and if you do have any questions, feel free to send them our way. With that, Emily, I am going to go off screen and get our presentation started. All right, so first off, let's quick start a little bit more about UW-Madison by the numbers. So some quick numbers to share with you all. UW-Madison was founded in 1848 with the first classes being held a year later in 1849. We currently have 30,000 plus undergraduate students, including 7,000 freshmen from all 50 states and 120 different countries. I want to point out that even though we are a very large campus, students do have the ability to find a fit here and a community of friends through a variety of different experiences on campus. I like to say that it's easy to make a large campus small, but it can be challenging to make a small campus feel big. So again, lots of different ways to make UW-Madison feel like home. Our student to faculty ratio also goes to show that there are many opportunities to engage with faculty and your professors on campus. Now, a few facts I do want to point out since we are specifically talking to Illinois students. So happy to have you all here. Currently in our admittance rate for our most recent class, we admitted 53.8% of non-resident applicants, with our second largest residency, wait for it, being of students from the state of Illinois. So we're super happy to be talking to you all today. We see a lot of students from Illinois come to Madison and join our Badger family. So again, we're eager to talk to you all. And with the majority of students in our last class being from the state of Wisconsin, as we are the Flagstaff institution for the state. Next, we're going to discuss a little bit more about what it's like to live in Madison, Wisconsin. So during traditional years of being a Badger and Madison being your home, Madison is truly a college city and a capital city like no other. On game days, this town turns into a city of red and white, and there's always some sort of festival going on, activities and concerts around the Capitol Square. Definitely a lot of outdoor activities if you're an outdoorsy person, and performance arts as well. So I do want to point out one of my favorite parts about living in the city of Madison, and that is the farmers market, which would normally be in peak season right now, but unfortunately due to the pandemic, it's not as big this year, but I'm hopefully looking forward to the next outdoor farmers market season next summer, hopefully. I do want to make a plug. It is the biggest farmers market in the country. You can get things from your fresh produce for the week, cheese curds. You can get little knickknacks to take home to your family. It is so much fun to go and spend your Saturday morning there. Next, I do want to discuss a little bit more about transportation around campus and the city of Madison as well. So through tuition fees, a city bus pass is provided each semester for students, and bus lines run regularly throughout the school year. We are rated as the #1 most bike-friendly city in America, and we are also a very walker-friendly campus as well. So there is really, we get this question a lot, there's really no need to bring a car to campus as space is limited for parking and it can be also pretty expensive. So again, lots of different ways to get to and from not only the university, but also around to say potentially some of the grocery stores and Target, whatever you need to be getting over in cities like Middleton that are very close by and neighboring communities as well. Now, I did want to discuss transportation to and from Chicago and the suburb areas as well. It's very easy to utilize. We have the Coach USA and Bangalter bus systems that leave campus regularly with multiple stop locations in Illinois. So again, lots of different ways to get to and from the city of Madison to areas around Illinois. As you can see in our little map here, Madison, Wisconsin is not that far from Chicago, and again, can't be that long of a drive for some of you. Maybe if you live more towards Indiana, it may be a longer drive, but again, it is very easy to get to and from the states. Now, I did want to talk a little bit more about living on an isthmus because this is a fun fact to share with potentially maybe some of your classmates if you're interested in Madison and telling them a little bit more. So an isthmus is essentially land between two lakes. So this is going to be our land here. This is the city of Madison. This is going to be the capital right here. Beautiful right now, all the leaves are changing colors on the trees. And right over here is going to be the university area. So we have two lakes. We have Lake Mendota and Lake Monona over on this side. So again, land between two lakes. Fun fact to share with you all. Go ahead and maybe tell your parents that you learned something in this presentation about just our topography and our land here in Madison. So next, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Wisconsin idea, and it's something that future, current, and alumni Badgers know about. It's the idea that what our students are learning in the classroom extends beyond just the classroom walls. So the knowledge that our students will learn at Madison will not only benefit the state, but it'll also benefit Illinois, the country, and even around the world. And it's one of the reasons why UW is rated as one of the strongest universities in the country, ranking 26th in world university rankings. We rank 13th as one of the top public universities, 8th in national research rankings, and we are also the #1 school for the most Peace Corps volunteers. So again, our Badgers have big hearts. They're going out into our community and around the world and doing big things after their time here at UW. I also want to share that we are consistently ranked as the top university with the best professors through a website called Rate My Professor. And on this website, students are essentially able to go and rate their professor and share their experiences with what their classes may be like. So it is fun to go and check out maybe who is teaching your History 101 class or one of your entry-level classes, or looking into your major a little bit and seeing what professors are teaching those courses as well. Next, we'll talk a little bit more about exploring what you love at Madison. Our Badgers have the opportunity to dive into a variety of different studies throughout our 8 different schools and colleges. UW-Madison offers 125 undergraduate majors and over 70 certificates to explore. Now, you may be thinking, Camille, I have heard of a minor at other different schools and universities, but not a certificate. Totally okay. What I can tell you is that a certificate is very similar to a minor, but it does allow students to get a deeper dive into a specific area of study. So, for example, Maybe you'll see a student studying biology as their major, and they have a food system certificate to tie nicely together to make them more marketable if they want to go on to become, let's say, a dietitian. Or maybe you'll see a history major also get a certificate in East Asian studies. So again, there's a wide variety of certificates to explore to pair nicely together with your major. And I do suggest doing a little bit of research on our website to explore the different certificates that we offer at UW. At UW-Madison, we do have 4 direct entry programs prospective students should be aware about. We have the School of Business, the College of Engineering, and our music and dance programs as well. So for the School of Business, we'll start there. Students can apply to a specific major within the school, or they can also apply undecided to the school as well. And students who are not accepted through direct entry are still evaluated for general admission to UW. Again, that's something that I do want to hone in on, is that you are still evaluated for just a general admittance to UW if you do not get in at direct entry. Competitive students are taking courses in math, maybe some of those calculus levels, pre-calc, calculus, AP have offered at your high school. And I do want to point out that if you are not directly admitted, many students will follow a pre-business route and receive additional support from advisors that will work with students in order to get them on track for the major of their choice in the School of Business. Direct entry for the College of Engineering is similar, where you can apply to a specific major or you can go and apply undecided as well, but your second choice major must be listed outside of the College of Engineering. So maybe something in the College of Letters and Science. Most competitive applicants for the College of Engineering are taking rigorous courses, if available, in those math and science subjects. Now for the for our music and dance programs, the process for direct entry are very similar to one another. If you're interested in either of these programs, you will need to submit a supplemental application, and there will also be an audition requirement through the music or dance department. UW-Madison offers a wide variety of pre-programs for students. I want to clarify that although we do not have any pre-med specific majors, we do have UW's Center for Pre-Health Advising, which is a great resource for students who may want to go on to medical school to make sure that they are staying on the right track with courses and rigor in order to prepare for medical school. UW also has a Center for Pre-Law Advising for those students who may want to go on to law school after they complete their undergraduate. Next, Emily is going to share a little bit more about what it's like to be involved as a Badger at UW-Madison, and also a little bit more about her experience.
Hi everyone, Camille, thanks for passing the baton to me. In addition to talking about academics, and that's a great way to find your community, I also wanted to mention a few other ways that you can find your community on campus. I will note that these are just some of the options. There are many opportunities to find your individual community on campus, but these are some common ones that we find that students do like to participate in. First, I'll mention that UW has over 1,000 student organizations. If you've ever visited Madison or have heard of the Cole Center, which houses our basketball and hockey programs, in previous years, pre-COVID, we have actually been able to fill the entire Cole Center with all of our student organizations and host a student org fair. So every semester, this was a great way to walk by different tables and just sign up for things maybe you want to continue from high school, or maybe just something you're completely interested in, something you've never heard of. We continue to keep a list of all of our clubs on our Wisconsin Involvement Network. We call this the WIN. So I encourage you to check out the full list there. And of course, if there's something that you're looking for and not finding, there's always an opportunity to create your own student organization as well. Another way to find your campus community is through different cultural communities. UW-Madison has a multicultural student center on campus right on Langdon Street, housed in the Red Gym right by the Memorial Union. We have the Asian Pacific Islander Desi American Student Center, the Latinx Cultural Center, the Native Student Resource Center, and the Black Cultural Center. So there's a lot of different communities that you can be a part of and have safe spaces or learn from if you haven't experienced any of these things growing up in your life. So I encourage you to check out those communities as well. UW has a lot of arts and festivals just within campus, but also in the city of Madison. So for example, the Overture Center for the Arts off of State Street brings in Broadway productions. I remember Camille going to see Hamilton over the holidays. I know I went to go see some SNL performers, Colin Jost and Alex Moffat at the Comedy Club on State Street. A lot of great ways to just participate in town. And there's lots of great artists and really creative folks that come to campus and speak to students. And sometimes some of them are even really notable alumni. So fun fact, Virgil Abloh, the creator of Off-White, and I would argue one of the most prominent men's fashion designers in the world, was actually a civil engineering major at UW-Madison and comes back and frequently engages with students. So that's just a neat example of different ways to get involved on campus and connect with folks. UW also does offer Greek life on campus. About, I think it's right around 11 or 12% of our student body chooses to participate in Greek life. So this is a little bit smaller than what some campuses may have, some of our peer institutions. I do like to highlight that within Greek life, there is Interfraternity Council, Multicultural Greek Council, the National Pan-Hellenic Council, which is commonly referred to as the Divine Nine, Pan-Hellenic Association, and then there's other just academic and pre-professional sorority fraternities, and maybe even some religious sorority and fraternities. So this can look different for a lot of folks. Now, we also do offer a variety of intramural and sports clubs as well. Intramurals, there's a few different levels that students can participate in, whether you're just trying something for the first time or wanting to create a community maybe with folks on your floor in your residence hall, or maybe you really want to continue and be a competitive athlete, but not quite a varsity level athlete at Wisconsin, and sports clubs are a great option then as well. Sports clubs are a little bit different as they're usually more competitive and will require a tryout and sometimes also some added fees and travel. So it's all about what you can balance as a student and what you're interested in. I'd be remiss, of course, if I didn't mention Badger Big Ten Athletics. UW has 23 men's and women's varsity teams. This is a great way to get involved on campus, whether you're attending the games in the student section or playing in the marching band, or maybe watching the game with some folks in your residence halls, or maybe it's not your thing at all. That's completely fine. That's what we want to emphasize at UW is there's a lot of different ways to be involved. So this is going to look different for each student. And before I move on to the next one, the next slide about talking about the Wisconsin experience, I do just want to share too that other ways to find your community on campus are in different support groups. So we have a university health services place on campus. We call this UHS. You can go there for checkups if you're sick, you know, if you need a COVID test. They even have mental health resources, which are really great. That's something that I ended up checking out during my time on campus. So it's just a lot of great things to help assist you in your time as a student. Other resources too, like the Greater University Tutoring Service, Math Lab. They'll even bring in academic tutors to your residence hall, the libraries. Your professors are required to hold office hours every single week. So there are plenty of resources on campus that not only you can get to know folks and find your community, but be really supported as well. Now, Camille, if you can move me to the next slide, we can go and talk a little bit more about our Wisconsin experience. Okay, so we kind of have this, you know, topic, the Wisconsin idea, the Wisconsin experience of what you're learning inside the classroom should be extended outside the classroom, whether it's in, you know, the city of Madison, your local community, maybe the Midwest, you know, across the United States or globally. And again, kind of like the last slide, these are common ways that students choose to engage and start shaping their Wisconsin experience, but please do not feel pressured to participate in any of these things if they don't interest you. Study abroad and research abroad is quite popular at UW. In fact, we offer over 200 study abroad programs in 60 different countries. If you actually look up UW-Madison study abroad, you can even search by the major of what you want to study, the language of instruction that you want to be taught in, the length of time, etc. So for example, I chose to study abroad for a semester. I had some friends go abroad for a full academic year. And my younger sister, who did end up coming to Wisconsin as well, actually did a 2-week program over her winter break. So it's all about what's accessible and fits in your schedule. So just keep that in mind as well. Undergraduate research is also common. UW, in addition to having values of a liberal education, is also a Research One institution, which means we spend over $1 billion each year on research. And these research opportunities are available to undergraduate students. So a common program students like to get involved in is called the Undergraduate Research Scholars Program, where you take some courses and are able to participate in research as early as your freshman year, if that's something you're interested in. I also like to highlight too that you do not need to be interested in STEM in order to pursue undergraduate research opportunities. So for example, I studied English literature and Spanish language, and I had some funding, was able to present at some conferences, and I studied multilingual writing. So if this is something you're interested in or at some point in your career wanting to check out, just keep an open mind. There's plenty of opportunities to engage. Service learning is also common, whether that is doing that through maybe one of the 1,000 student organizations that we just mentioned on the last slide, or there's some specific centers on campus that specifically help you with volunteering opportunities, whether it's in the Madison schools, maybe in the libraries, maybe in different health clinics. There's a bunch of ways to get involved. Internships and co-ops are also very prevalent. Every semester, UW holds a college, or excuse me, I should say, an internship and a co-op fair. And so there are plenty, that's already right there. If you attend college for 4 years, that's 8 opportunities right there to go to different internship and co-op fairs. A lot of times your specific school or college, or maybe even your major, will have its own internship and co-op fair. You'll have great resources from your academic advisor and your career advisor constantly sending out, emailing you opportunities, reminding you of deadlines. There's actually so many folks that want to come in and recruit our Badgers that we in past years have had to turn away folks who want to come to our job and internship fair just because we don't have enough room to bring people in. So it's a great resource on campus. Residential learning communities are also common. As the name suggests, this is for students who do choose to live in the residence halls. So UW does not require first-year students to live in the residence halls. We really encourage you to, and about 90% of our students do, but understand again, this looks different for everyone. Residential learning communities is essentially living with folks who have similar interests as you. You don't even need to be studying the same thing. So an example that I like to share is one called The Studio in the Southeast Residence Hall. And this is really the common interest that students have between arts and activism. So that could maybe be a dance major or an education major or even a computer science major. Folks that just have a common interest of being creative and having a space to express themselves. And then one final example I want to talk about before turning it back to Camille is first-year interest groups. We call these FIGs. You'll hear a lot of acronyms throughout this presentation, so apologies for dumping all of these on you. Feel free to ask us any questions in the chat as well if you need clarification. So as the name suggests, this is also an opportunity for first-year students. And FIGs are a clustering of 3 to 4 classes that you'll take, and you'll take these classes with the same about 20 to 25 students. And so this is a nice way that some people really like to get that smaller feel on campus. So when Camille talked about 30,000 undergraduate students at the beginning, 7,000 freshmen each year we bring in. Sometimes this is a nice way for people who want a little bit more intimate of an experience. So you're taking the same classes with the same group of people. I've actually had some friends who did FIGs and are still really close friends, or that's how they met some people in the Badger community through there. When I first came to UW, FIGs were kind of a newer thing. I think there was probably around 15 offerings, but I just checked the other week and there's over 63 different offerings. So this is something that's really popular and is really taken off at UW. So if it's something that interests you, I suggest that you look at their website just to see the really neat things they're up to. So Camille, I will hand it back to you.
Hey, Emily, before I switch to the next slide, I did just see a question come through. And since you did attend UW-Madison and you are an alumna, I did just see a question say, why did you choose to go to UW-Madison? So if you do want to quick touch on that, I think that that ties nicely with the Wisconsin experience.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a question I get a lot and one that I think about often. Since I went to college at UW-Madison, I haven't moved away from Madison. I love Madison. I love everything about it, the campus, the city, the community. But I think the main reason I chose UW is that I knew that it had a lot of offerings, and I thought I maybe knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to go into something a little bit more like liberal arts, but I didn't know, and I was scared to kind of commit to something when I was, 17, 18 years old in high school. And so I just felt that there was no wrong path at UW. I felt that all of their programs were really, really solid. Opportunities, whether I was interested in liberal arts or STEM or both, plenty of ways to get involved. And so I think I just didn't know what I wanted to do and felt like I had the most options at UW. And Camille, I'll hand it back to you now.
Thank you, Emily. All right, everyone. Thanks, Emily, for touching a little bit more about her experience at UW and also just experiences that our Badgers can enjoy during their time on campus. Now we will discuss a little bit more about what myself and what Emily do in the Office of Admissions and Recruitment at UW. This is the admissions review process at UW, and again, we utilize a holistic review approach, which means that we look at everything that makes you uniquely you as a student. With academic excellence being at the top, we do look for progression in your coursework, especially in those 5 core subjects: math, science, English, social science, and also foreign language. And of course, we want to make sure that you're doing well in these courses, earning those A's and B's. We are also looking for your community and school involvement, as well as leadership and service, and if you're going to be a good fit for UW-Madison and for your program. So again, everything that you submit to our office is reviewed in order for us to make a cohesive decision. I want to give you all a few key tips and points to share in order for in order for us to know as much as we can about you as a student. So number 1, make sure, if you haven't already applied early, actually we'll discuss that in a little bit, but make sure that you're sitting down and make a list of everything that you've been involved in. So maybe you have siblings that you're taking care of, or you have a part-time job. If you're involved in a religious program, clubs, or sports, again, telling us everything so that we can get a real picture of you as a student is very helpful. And number 2, do your research. What is it that makes you really want to be a Badger? Is it a specific research opportunity like Emily just mentioned, or is it a specific fit that you want to get involved in? The more that we know, the easier we can identify a good fit for you on campus. So again, do your research, check out some of our other visits that we have going on virtually. We have open houses as well. So lots of great options to learn more about UW right now. For the next steps in our admissions process, you can either apply through the Common application or the UW System application. There is a $60 fee, but there is a fee waiver if you do qualify. And we are looking for your grades and coursework, your college level essays, and 1 letter of recommendation from an academic source. So this could be a letter of recommendation from your high school counselor, maybe one of your favorite teachers in one of those core subjects, someone who has seen your work in the classroom. And then this portion is completely test optional for UW-Madison, as we have gone test optional until the summer of 2023, but sending in your test scores if you would like. We have received, I want to touch on this, many questions in regards to if students should submit scores if they've already taken the exam. And again, it's completely optional. The exam score is truly only a small factor of a student's application. We are truly looking for how a student's day-to-day work is going, their progression in high school, and how they're performing in the classes. Also, if English was not the first language of instruction taught for grades 9 through 12, we do need your IELTS, TOEFL, or DET scores. This year, we currently are in early action deadline season coming up soon in about a month. So you have some time if you would like to apply early action, it is open. And this application, the deadline needs to be in by November 1. These students will be hearing their decision no later than January 31st. And regular action deadline, so coming up next spring-ish, is going to be February 1, and these students will be receiving their decision around March 31st. Now, the types of decisions for early action include admit, deny, and defer. Defer meaning that we think that you're a really strong fit for our university, but we would just like to see how you're doing during your current semester before we make our final decision. And the types of decisions for regular decision includes admit, deny, and waitlist. And waitlist meaning that, again, we think that you're a very strong student. We just want to see how our class is shaking out to look. And if we do have additional room for students, we will turn to our waitlist in order to extend admittance to these students as well. And today we will close by discussing financing your education at UW-Madison. And this is going to look different for each and every Badger, depending on your family income, spending habits, and your FAFSA. We highly suggest filing your FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, as soon as possible. The application is now open. It opened on October 1. So again, getting in this application and getting it taken care of so that you receive your student aid right around the time when you receive your admissions decision. We do also offer financial aid for Pell eligible non-resident students, which covers the balance of tuition after federal loans for high need students. And it is a first come, first serve process. So again, we suggest filing your FAFSA as soon as possible. Another way to fund your college education is through the hundreds of scholarships at UW through the Wisconsin Wish Hub. Now, once you actually submit your application, you will be able to access and log into the Wisconsin Wish Hub and apply for any scholarships that sound interesting to you. So these scholarships are available for all students and are not automatically awarded. Most do require an essay and an application, and the deadlines for these applications are normally right around February 1. So I definitely suggest, if you do have any more questions about financial aid at UW, to visit our Office of Student Financial Aid's website and utilize, it's also on our website as well, utilize their net price calculator, which can give you more of a personalized look as to the cost of attending UW-Madison may look like for you and your family. I also suggest setting up an appointment with our financial aid office. They are doing one-on-one appointments if you do have any additional questions. Again, they are the experts in this field, and they are very willing and eager to assist students with any questions about financing their education at UW. And with that, we have concluded our very quick time to talk a little bit about a lot about UW-Madison. Thank you so much, Emily, for joining me and discussing a little bit more about the Wisconsin experience and also organizations around campus. Again, stay connected with us. This is the best time to really reach out to us right now. Either, I know our emails were up on the screens before we started the presentation. Otherwise, feel free to reach out to our regular admissions office. You can either utilize our email, or you can also call us right now. Monday through Friday, we do have virtual phones going right now. You will be speaking with a counselor, and those are Monday through Friday from 10 to 2. So again, our phone number is there, and we are always consistently posting any updates that we have going on in the Office of Admissions and Recruitment or around UW-Madison through our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter feeds. Check out our social media. Once you receive that decision, and hopefully it's a good one and you get that Badger admittance, then you could always do a hashtag Future Badger. We'd love to see who's coming to campus in our next class. And with that, Emily and I will actually hop back on and start to answer any questions that you may have. We have about 10 minutes of time. Nice work, Emily. Okay. Emily, do you have any questions that you'd like to start off with?
Sure, there's one that came in with a few questions, so I'll just read these aloud. So somebody asked, do you have a psychology and criminology major and certificate? So I will share that yes, we have a psychology major. We do not have a specific criminal justice major, but we do offer that in a certificate program. So like Camille mentioned at some point during our presentation, UW doesn't have minors, we have certificates. And so certificates are going to be less credits than a major, but I also like to highlight that sometimes they're offered in subject categories that we do not always offer a major in. And so if you're ever curious, there is an entire list if you just look at UW-Madison's website of all of these programs, but there's a few different ways to pair it. Camille, there's a question that came in too. Can you talk more about tuition and whether or not we accept outside scholarships?
Great question. Yeah, so tuition is, again, like I said, going to look a little bit different for each person. We do see a lot of questions sometimes from Illinois students if they do get residency, if maybe they have, house or something in the state of Wisconsin, and unfortunately, no, it is only for Wisconsin residents. A couple of questions outside scholarships that we do see. Yes, sometimes we will work with some scholarships to make sure that you're getting that utilized within your financial aid. But again, as I'm stating, I am totally not the expert as far as financial aid goes at UW. They are incredible with reaching out and talking with students about any questions that they may have about financial aid.
There were some questions too coming in about what does the application process look like for somebody with an associate's degree or somebody looking to transfer? And then kind of a secondary question, if I go to community college, will my credits transfer? So that's a two-part question. So we do want to emphasize that transfer is very common at UW as well. Last year, we brought in over 1,000 transfer students. So this is a great way to come to UW-Madison if that is your ultimate goal. So Camille and I are mostly freshman admissions counselors, but we actually have a specific team specifically dedicated to transfer admissions. And a lot of time this is information that is a little bit more specialized depending on the applicant. And so there's actually ways to register to speak with one of our transfer admissions counselors over the phone. So this sounds like maybe a good option for you. And just keeping that in mind too. There's also an office on campus called Credit Evaluation Services. We call it CES, and they help with the transferring of these credits. So you're also able to schedule appointments with them to talk through some of that, but also this is a good conversation to start having with your advisor at whatever college you do start at, whether that is a different four-year institution or a different two-year institution. I will share that a lot of the vocational and trades credits, they're not as easily transferable to some credits at UW-Madison. So that's why we want you to specifically reach out to folks and have these individualized conversations just to make sure you're getting all your specific questions answered.
Yeah, thank you, Emily, so much. I can answer a question from a student. What would you suggest if I'm having trouble finding scholarships that match my qualifications on Wish? This is something that, again, you may run into if you have unique interests, but I do suggest if you have a specific major in mind, checking out that department's website and seeing what scholarships they may offer, and then going ahead and finding them on the Wish or Wisconsin Wish Hub. That might be a good way to kind of get your grounds, find your bearings there, and find the right track to finding the specific scholarships that may be of interest to you. Hope that helps. Any other questions that we may have? Awesome questions, you guys. Emily did a great job helping answer them privately, so thank you, Emily. Otherwise, again, if we don't have any questions currently and something pops in your head, maybe 20 minutes from now, feel free to reach out to our office. Feel free to reach out to Emily or I. We are definitely eager to help answer any questions.
And this is why we like to end on this slide as well. So this is just kind of our general contact information. So Camille and I share information on the first slide, and I like to share that while we do cover a large territory of Illinois, especially as we head into reading season for reading applications, a lot of times we're not answering our email right away. So sometimes the fastest way to get in touch with our office is by calling that general line and contacting that On Wisconsin email that's staffed by all of our peers, other admissions counselors. So just keep that in mind too. We realize that this is a lot of info that we shared with you, so that you may not think of questions or encounter, questions about the application until later. So this is the way to ask us those questions if you do have them.
Absolutely. Don't see any more questions coming through. This is always interesting to kind of wait and see. So I guess with that, thank you again, everyone, for taking time out of your midweek Wednesday to learn a little bit more about UW. I know Emily just said it was a lot of information to digest. So again, reach out if you do have any questions. And with that, Emily, I don't know if we want to do a 3, 2, 1 on Wisconsin, but whenever you're ready, 3, 2, 1 on Wisconsin.
On Wisconsin.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us.
Thanks for sharing. That was great. Great information. Really appreciate that. So as soon as we close this out, there is going to be another window that pops up with 4 short questions that we have. So we appreciate your feedback, students. Thank you for joining us. Again, remember that this is going to be recorded. It will be available in about a week on our website, www.iacac.org. And again, there's a lot of sessions still available. So check out our website, sign up for some more sessions, find out more information about all these amazing schools. So thank you again, everybody, and have a great night.